Welcome to the Fantasy Film Room presented by Toyota, the official automotive partner of the NFL, who's all in all season with another year of Toyota game day giveaways. From the NFL shop gear to even Brock Purdy's favorite Sequoia, Toyota is giving fans a chance to win big. Visit toyota.com/NFL to learn more. All right, Nate, we've got a ton to talk about here today because we're going to look at some of these teams that have new play callers. Our big meaty section here at the top, the first segment, we're going to look at the two big fish, okay? The two big time turnover play calling head coaches. We're going to look at Chicago with Ben Johnson. We're going to look at Liam Cohen with Jacksonville. Let's talk about everybody's favorite team to talk about. Let's talk about the damn Chicago Bears, Nate Tice. Through 2 weeks, what have you thought about the Ben Johnson offensive experience? You can take that whichever way you want to go.
I have actually enjoyed a lot of aspects of the Ben Johnson experience, as long as we're talking about the offense. That is the key part of this discussion, which is great for a fantasy show. As long as we're talking about the Bears offense, it's not too bad right now. I am liking that there's some variety in the run game. They have some cool play action stuff already working. I like the usage of Odunze. I can tell that's Ben Johnson's special little child already in that offense, which I endorse. I fully endorse. I think they're figuring out just the personnel that works for them. I feel like they're trying to figure out how to use Cole Kmet, how to use Colson Loveland, bringing Colson Loveland along as well, which figured very young tight end will take some time anyways, but also trying to get Luther Burden involved. So they're getting this cast of characters, trying to figure it out. But you can see them working through some growing pains, and I mean in a good way, because while there's a lot of tension what happened the first game of the season, the second game, even though that was a blowout, a lot of good stuff on that offense. They were moving the ball fairly well, and Caleb Williams, I think, looks pretty good. I would even say good in week 2. I would give that a firmly B-plus performance. Even just the interception was a little wacky. It was also second in 100 feet. So do the math there. But no, I really do think that the biggest blemish I see in this entire offense, which you and I have talked about before, and we'll probably talk about until it changes, is DeAndre Swift. Outside of that, I think a back of that would just be average, that would have average vision and average strength and contact balance, would be a huge, huge upgrade in this offense of what they're trying to do just to keep it on schedule. The run game is really underwhelming right now, but I actually think the blocking's been okay to at least stay efficient, maybe not hit all the big plays. So that's been kind of the biggest disappointment. I think they are trying to get Kyle Monangai come along a little bit, but it's just that's really it. They don't have a ton of talent at that backfield position, and it's close. They're close to popping and put it together. There's growing pains still, but I am liking what I'm seeing.
Yeah, let's talk about the run game before we really deep dive into the passing game of this all. But before we do that, actually, we have one soundbite to play from Ben Johnson, because this is from his press conference. This is getting a lot of attention on the Twitter sphere. So let's see if we can hear it here.
I think our practice habits are yet to reflect the championship caliber team.
I love the stone cold silence after that. This is something Ben Johnson's hammered basically since he arrived there. My actual thought about this, Nate, when I first heard that, because I know immediately everybody, on fantasy Twitter is trying to figure out which offensive player he's talking about. I'm like, hey guys, like you made this point at the top, he might be talking about the defensive side of the football, because that defense has, for the last 5 quarters we've seen them, been a complete train wreck. And I think there's a lot of miscommunication and errors on the back end of that defense. So we can sit here and guess at maybe he is talking about somebody on offense. I don't know. I'm sure all the big shows want to make it about Caleb Williams, but let's not forget there's a whole, Ben Johnson is the head coach of this football team and might be talking about the other side of the football here.
Other side of the football, and maybe some, vet skill guys that have been there for a little bit. Like you truly don't know. Like it might be an offensive lineman they're talking about. It might be the punter, Torrey. It might be you don't know exactly. But I agree. That's been a sloppy team the last few years. There's a team that openly gave up. That if you just watch the Bears after that Hail Mary game against Washington, just was a zombie team for almost 3 months. And we saw receiver DJ Moore kind of giving up on the field and everything. That's hard to change overnight. Football is a very physical, very mental sport with a lot of human element to it. There's a lot of want to football that sometimes you just don't have. And so that's what practicing is hard, especially as the season goes along and being, detailed and detail oriented. This is why I stay bullish on Ben Johnson, because I think It's kind of
Same.
cool to see him not waver yet. He's just going like, yeah, well, you got to get better. Like, what are we talking about here? And just like having consistent answers and just having confidence in the answers that makes sense to me. So that's why, yeah, I don't know. As far as offensively, it's more, I see what they're trying to do. And I'm like really encouraged. I really am. The false starts, like illegal shift stuff, I think that'll clean up. But I think there's a good sign of that is that they're trying to change up cadence. They're trying to use motion. They're trying to do stuff to make their lives easier down the road. But that stuff doesn't just happen overnight with a bunch of new cast of characters, new center, new right guard, a second-year quarterback, new left guard. You got like just so many new faces that have big roles in this offense, or young faces too. So we keep talking about, we've joked about this. It's like they have such an early bye week. I want to see the Bears after their bye week, which is so early that I think after that they're going to roll. And honestly, again, we're on a fantasy show. If there's a bad defense, this is great for fantasy reasons.
Great,
so,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. I'm encouraged. I think the Bears are going to become a very watchable team for a lot of reasons. I think this offense is going to just keep picking up steam.
The interesting thing you mentioned about the run game, like that I've noticed, is that the offense, like, I love this stat, yards before contact on your running back runs. They're top 5 in that metric right now. Like I think they are getting some push in the run game. I think it's pretty sound, pretty well designed. There's definitely some mistakes up front. The offensive line hasn't been perfect. But yeah, DeAndre Swift is just not doing, he's just doing a little with a lot, basically. And that's kind of like the DeAndre Swift story of his career. Right now, he owns a just under 80% share of the team touches. Just briefly, because like, which is 6th among running backs, by the way. It's behind Chase Brown, Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs, Kyron Williams, Saquon Barkley, DeAndre Swift. Ashton Genty is tied with him. Like, you don't really want DeAndre Swift tied with Saquon Barkley and Ashton Genty ahead, like Jonathan Taylor and stuff like that. But do you see any of the other 2 backs on the roster? Roschon Johnson, you've mentioned Kyle Monangai before. Do you see any of them like actually being able to take this job, or is this just like, hey, this is what the run game is going to be in 2025?
I think Monangai gets enabled in this offense. They're trying to allow him to get reps, like they're putting him in pass protection stuff. They're just trying to ease him in. I think he was banged up for a minute, but I also, just reading between the lines, Ben Johnson was so positive about him and saying how mature he was and how much he trusts him. And Monangai had a drop, I believe, and he also he had one other mistake. It wasn't glaring. It was just like a kind of thing I noticed. But that's a 7th round rookie, But it's kind of hard to go, okay, DeAndre Swift, you've been here with the team and you're highly paid. Here's a 7th round rookie beating you out week 2. It's very hard. There's the politics of the locker room. That's just a hard switch to do unless you're trying to do a my way or highway kind of thing. And I just don't know what those relationships are. So again, this might be a bye week thing. This might be like, hey, we reviewed you sell it. Hey, we reviewed the film now. This is what we're going to do. This is who we're going to have more of a role. I think Roschon Johnson is more of a useful back. I think it's going to be fantasy reasons, be more short yardage where his value might come from. And also he's a good pass protection back. So he might be one that's always just hanging, but he's banged up or has been banged up as well. But I always think he's a 2 in a solid backfield, a guy that's just more of a super role player. But that those are the guys I think are going to get more touches, because I just think Swift had a fumble. Swift had it's not even just meddlers missing holes. It's just like actually big issues like fumbling and missing those types of chances. So I think the reliability is a big thing for Ben Johnson. I think weirdly the backups have that more than the starter.
Okay, so let's talk about the passing game, and I do want to lead in with Rome Odunze, because of course I do. Stat from Graham Barfield today: big uptick in usage for Rome Odunze from year 1 to year 2. Rookie season, his first read target share, according to Fantasy Points data, was 19%. His route percentage in 2 receiver sets was 31%. This year, 33% first read targets, which is wide receiver 10 overall in the league. Routes per drop back in 2 wide receiver sets is 90%, so that's huge. Yeah. He is 17th right now among wide receivers with 40-plus routes in first downs per route run, just right behind Malik Neighbors, who everybody told you last year you're a huge dumbass if you ranked Rome Odunze ahead of Malik Neighbors. They're looking neck and neck in terms of some production there, so shout out to the haters and losers on that one, even if Malik Neighbors ends up being better than Rome Rome Odunze. I gotta get my one little comeback.
Hey, while we can,
that's all I got.
While we can,
while we can, because we couldn't do it last year. Anyways, those guys were both tier 1 prospects that didn't particularly care who
I know,
you
right?
ranked ahead of the other. That's the official statement. Yeah, of course. But anyways, I so agree with your point that even beyond like, it'd be one thing if it was just these metrics, the targets and whatever. But yeah, I think I texted you this after week 1. Like, you can tell that they're setting him up to like be the guy. Like, even when Caleb wasn't taking those throws over the middle of the field in week 1, I think he was much better about it in week 2. And it's like, you can just tell like the design of it all. Like, this is freeing it up to be like, yeah, that's your funnel target. And I think that was even just progress from week 1 to week 2, which is what you want to see. And honestly, man, like, you can heat check me on this if you think I'm tripping on it, but like, I think the sky's the limit for Rome. Like, there's a lot of guys that went higher in the fantasy drafts where I think like right now, week 2 going to week 3, I'd be taking him ahead of those guys. Like, I might rather based on just the guy we're going to talk about in Jacksonville here in a second, like, I might rather have Rome Odunze than the second-year receiver who's struggling in Jacksonville right now to kind of get with the program. We'll see. Maybe that's a hot take, but I mean, just I think that's how well he's playing, and that's how well clearly he's set up to continue to succeed in this offense.
Yeah, and this is actually kind of one of those things. First read targets are very, like, when I just see the numbers, I'm always just like, but over rewatching this game, it's true. It's very true. Like, so it's actually kind of tying together all these stats nicely. The 2 receiver set stuff, they're running a lot of the what I call staple play action stuff, or the classics. Like, it's a post and it's an over. So you got the deep route and then that clear space for somebody coming over the middle of the field. These are plays that, like, if you're running 2-man play action concepts or 2 receiver play action concepts, this is like what all the other ones are based off of. And it was very telling to me that the Bears went to that a couple times against the Lions, and Odunze was the dig runner, meaning he's the primary. Technically the post is the alert and it's the one, but it's like, all right, that's like once in a blue moon you throw it. And guess what? Actually, when he was the post on those routes, guess where Caleb threw it? To the post. Because Rome is getting a lot of love when Rome is scrambling. He had a play late in the game when it was late third quarter, I believe, when it was already pretty much a blowout. It was another third and super long. They were kind of backed up. He's scrambling, and there's Odunze. He tries to find it, and it actually splits a couple guys and goes through Odunze's hands. I think he was shocked that it got through as well. But he's getting put into the slot and running the out route on routes that get a clear out. So those are all, again, those are technically the ones. And when you draw it up, sometimes it's the 2, but you kind of know where the ball is going to get going most of the time against certain coverages. And just seeing that with Odunze, it's like, and just how he talks about him. He talks about Ben Johnson says he's the X, and then you watch the usage. I mean, that's the biggest compliment you can give a receiver. And like we talk about all the time. And so he's getting the X stuff. He's getting the stuff where he's the off man and stack, meaning they're trying to clear him. He's getting slot stuff where he's the primary read. He's getting the dig in 2 receiver sets. You kind of get where I'm going here. It's like one. He's the one. And he gets screens. And he has so like you said, sky's the limit, I think, statistically and real football wise. It's one of these, what I call a Nick Swisher. The stats match what they look like in eye test. Nick Swisher in Moneyball was the famous prospect that the nerds and the old scouts agreed on. So that's Rome Odunze to me right now.
Yeah, and I think that everything's pointing up there. That's a big win. Otherwise, though, in the passing game, I think they're still kind of trying to figure it out, right? I mean,
I do too.
I know people. Like Olamide Zaccheaus is a nice role player, and like. Yeah. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think the thought process is like, oh, Luther Burden at some point will take his job. Mm-hmm. And I think, like, Ben's talked about it this week, that they want to get more packages for Luther Burden. Like, they do want to get him more involved. And same with Colson Loveland, like, I think there's already been a lot of like hindsight analysis on both of those draft picks. And, I think even you and I said this, like, I actually remember when they took Burden in the second round on the draft show, you looked over at me like they just can't help themselves. And it's like, yeah, that is pretty much they can't. Like, they need toys to play with at all times. But to me, when they took Burden, I do think he's the long-term replacement for DJ Moore. Like that, I don't think he's going to take Zaccheaus' job, because I think Zaccheaus is going to be on the field still. But I actually think, like, there's a chance DJ Moore could get traded mid-season. Like, it's probably that's like a
I was about to say
prediction,
that.
But...
I was literally about to cut you off and say that. I think he gets traded. Like, I would actually put it like a 50-50 shot. I know nothing. I've not talked to anybody. This is just me reading tea leaves and seeing on-field stuff and what's going on. Yep.
Yeah, no, and I honestly think that might be best for like both parties at this point. Because like I don't think DJ just all of a sudden forgot how to play football. I just think there's like something behind the scenes that's just been off ever since his great first season there with a different quarterback and just a different offensive system. And I think there's actually I was talking with James Coe about this earlier today, and we were both like, "Oh, they should just trade him to the Chiefs." Like, tired Chiefs should trade for Tyreek Hill. Wired, they should trade for DJ Moore because he's a real receiver, but he still allows them to do all the BS screen stuff that we were just hating on Football 301 yesterday. So I don't know.
I think that got some traction in Chiefs world, by the way, in Chiefs Kingdom. Our rants about the Chiefs.
I don't even want to know if it was good or bad, but
it was
definitely
good. It was agreement.
Good. Oh well, good. I'm glad they're just fed up with winning. They need something to complain about.
Men of the people. That's what.
That's right. Solidarity. But no, I do think that. I think that Luther Burden's role could expand as the season goes on. I think Colson Loveland's role will expand as the season goes on. But, we talked about it. Like, this is a process. This is not going to be like Ben Johnson comes in here and sprays the magic pixie dust and, like, fixes everything. These guys have to get on, like, the right page. He's talking about the practice habits.